Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So after losing a major 4-month-long uptrend, we've seen a pretty aggressive tumble from Bitcoin over the last couple of days towards $112,000. The drop was just about 3.6%, and we're now heading into a large level of macro support. Will these supports hold and see a bounce from Bitcoin? Let's dive into the charts today and talk about that reversal potential building in the charts, and otherwise the macro warning signs that you need to watch out for a larger correction. Let's get into it. As always, before we get stuck into it, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And sign up to my free Telegram for more regular Bitcoin updates. If you're a trader and you're interested in joining my VIP trading channel, be sure to message me down below on Telegram. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Alrighty guys, so diving right into the context of the recent price action, we can see the major uptrend that we lost right here. It started all the way back at $74,000 and has taken Bitcoin throughout the last 3 to 4 months of uptrending price action and up to $124,000. Now, with the recent loss of that uptrend, we did see quite a tumble from Bitcoin over the last day or 2-day period down to around $112,200 to retest a prior low on the 4-hour chart, being this one right here, as well as this high time frame level of support starting at 112 and ranging up to $112,500. If we go ahead and take a look at the total chart as well, we can see total has tumbled below this prior high at $3.93 trillion, and with the loss of that change of character level, we tumbled as well across the market towards support currently at the 50 EMA. So essentially across all these charts, total cryptocurrency market cap and Bitcoin, we can see that the market is approaching major levels of macro support. Here on total, that's the 50 EMA. We've had 3 retests of that level over the last couple of months, and each time with a retest, we have seen generally quite a large bounce and a new higher high here on the charts. So currently with that retest, that's a pretty big deal. Are we going to clear a new higher high on total yet again? And as well on Bitcoin, as we retest $112,000, we're also moving towards the base of our weekly or our current weekly range as well, right? Ending at this lower red line at 114.5 thousand. And I say the base of the weekly range because it is the base of the local weekly close, right? That is the lowest the current weekly range has closed. And so if we close below there, that's obviously not going to be a great sign and a potentially high time frame bearish trigger. So at these levels of macro support, and they are currently holding, we've still got 4 days left to the close, but still currently holding, even on the daily time frame, we're holding $112,000 and our recent local low there at 112.5. Is there a potential that we're going to see a bounce, and what exactly are we looking for? Now, before we get into any more analysis, guys, let's really quickly touch on one of the most important parts of being a successful trader, and that's managing your trading fees. So BTC has partnered with me to help you guys out and give you 15% off all of your trading fees. So if you'd like to support the channel and you're still really looking for a great non-KYC exchange with lots of listings, high liquidity, and security, BTC is definitely a great one to check out. And as a thank you for signing up under my affiliate code, you can get 10% off your VIP membership if you message me your membership number when you check out your VIP membership. Thanks. Let's get back into the charts. So if we go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart, we can see some promising signs of a potential reversal here, namely being the structural breakout of our current major short time frame downtrend, right? This is the downtrend that maps out the entire bearish trajectory from 124,000, that prior all-time high, and onwards until 112.3. Now we can see at this level of macro support, Bitcoin has seen a little bit of a bounce. We've moved up about or nearly 2%, and that 2% move has seen a breakout from this downtrend. If we zoom into the hourly chart as well, we can see Bitcoin is starting to print small higher highs on the price action, right? We have our first higher high over here and our third one over here. We're even potentially printing a new one right now as we clear above the 50 EMA on that hourly chart. But this question still remains whether or not this small bounce that we're seeing, the small reversal, is actually going to lead to a high time frame breakout, or whether or not it's just going to be that small reversal, like a little dead cat bounce. Because we've seen a large correction and we are moving into macro support, it's normal to see that little bit of buying pressure, but is it going to get absorbed? So what we're really looking out for then is taking a look at this 4-hour chart, clearance of the prior highs in this downtrend, right? So actual higher time frame high highs. And so that means we need to see a movement above $115,000, an establishment of that level as support, right? That's going to mean that Bitcoin is printing a higher high here above this one at $115,000, pushing above the 250 EMA here as well, will clear the next prior high at $117,000. And on the daily time frame, if Bitcoin manages to clear 115K and we flip that level to support, we'll also move out of the current liquidity zone on Smart Money Concepts indicator, starting from $112,000 and up to 114.6, as well as the 50 EMA here on the daily chart as well. So some really big signs for that higher time frame reversal if we manage to achieve what I just said. But otherwise, until Bitcoin clears 115K and we actually push above that prior high in the downtrend, and we're still within this current liquidity zone and below the 50 EMA and continue to reject off those levels, the more likely probability is that despite the fact that we're at macro support and we're seeing a small 2% bounce, that bounce isn't going to continue and we're likely going to instead see a further high time frame correction. So in the event that on the short term, Bitcoin is unable to reclaim 115,000 and start printing those higher highs on the 4-hour chart, and we continue to reject and fall below our current liquidity zone, let's talk about what we can expect from the market afterwards and the levels that we're targeting on the way further downwards. So if we head over to the weekly chart, we can see some really important analysis that maps out the next current trajectory of Bitcoin. So as I already mentioned, we're currently retesting the base of the weekly range, right? That is at this red line here at $114,000. And just below that, we can see the sell side liquidity for that weekly range at 112K. We tapped it in this candle over here, and that also meant that we went on to retrace this prior break of structure level, right? Both of those sit at exactly $112,000. Now that means that on the weekly time frame, if we fall below $114,000 and we move on to retest 112K, that is going to be the high time frame trigger on this weekly chart for a larger bearish move, likely taking Bitcoin below and into this wick and towards this liquidity zone down here, starting at $108,500. Now that makes sense, right? If we take a look at the daily chart, the end of the current liquidity zone as well sits at exactly $112,000. So essentially that's our current major high time frame trigger. If we fall below that level, we can therefore expect a further bearish continuation. Now, what's also really interesting as well is if we go ahead and take another look at that level that we were targeting on the weekly chart, being the start of this liquidity zone at $108,500, that also lines up perfectly with the next liquidity zone we have here on the daily chart as well, right? So if we fall below 112,000, we're clearly going to move into this zone starting at 109.6 down to 107, and right in the middle of that is the beginning of that weekly support at $108,300. And if we go ahead and take a look at the total chart, what we're looking for in that further bearish correction across the market is a loss, or with the loss of the 50 EMA, a movement downwards towards this next level of support, ranging from 3.67 and down to 3.5, and a retest of our structural support, our high time frame uptrend, similar sort of 4-month-long uptrend down here, right, with current confluence around that horizontal level as well, right, depending on how long it takes us to get down there. Now, before we wrap up the video, I know it's getting a tiny bit long already. I want to talk about the last time we had bearish divergence or major bearish divergence on the daily chart. So we can see that really clearly here, right? We have a new all-time high, 1.23 or 123 and 124. And on the RSI, we have these very clear lower highs with the closes on the daily time frame. And the very last time we had a major instance of bearish divergence like this print on the daily time frame was this large segment of price action over here, right? If you guys remember that, we had a massive sort of descending wedge over here and a huge instance of bearish divergence on the daily chart. We had this high here at 108,000 and we had this high at $109 or $110,000. And with that, on the daily time frame RSI, we had lower highs on the RSI as well, right? So diminishing momentum, ultimately leading to a really large descending channel structure. And, you know, of course, we managed to break out. But before we did that, and before Bitcoin saw this major reversal, what we also did on the high time frame with such a large period of bearish, you know, apparently bearish consolidation, is on the 3-day chart, a push into the Gaussian channel, right? We can see that over here. We fell below the top of the Gaussian channel, and upon rejecting off the midline of resistance there, we saw a movement just below that, and then ultimately recovering and breaking out from that descending channel structure, we saw the recovery. Now over here, with that instance of bearish divergence on the high time frame as well, there are some concerns that this larger correction is going to take us to at least retest the top of the Gaussian channel there at $107.2 thousand and potentially falling into it to test the midline and then the base of it. Now that means that if on the daily chart we lose this current liquidity zone, this level that we just talked about over here, let's put that away. This one right here, starting from 109.6 down to 107, if we lose that level, we fall into this volume gap, and that takes us right down to retest that 3-day Gaussian channel, where things start to become potentially much more bearish on the high time frame. So something to watch out for over the next couple of days, and in the reaction to our weekly range low at 114K. Alrighty guys, that is a wrap on today's analysis. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. If you enjoyed it or you learned something, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And sign up to my free Telegram for more regular Bitcoin updates. If you're a trader and you're interested in joining my VIP trading channel, be sure to message me down below on Telegram. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. And sign up down below to beat you next to get 15% off your trading fees as well. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.